This is Lionel Messi's first professional league goal in 2005, and this is one of his latest. Between these two moments, football witnessed one of the most significant tactical evolutions of any player in history. One player, several distinct roles, and a complete reimagining of what's possible on a football pitch. This is the story of Lionel Messi's tactical transformation. When we think of Messi, certain images immediately spring to mind. The inverted winger, the false nine, the creator. But long before any of these iterations, there's a version of Messi that time has almost forgotten. A near-traditional left winger, Rosario, Argentina, in the late 90s. A time when football was a lot simpler, when wingers stuck to their natural side and their job description was clearer. Hug the touchline, beat your fullback, and get supply into the box. That's what was expected of many wingers at the time. The footage from those days is grainy but fascinating. A tiny, scrawny boy with a mop of black hair, already showing that supernatural ability to keep the ball glued to his feet. But this wasn't the Messi we'd come to know. When he played on the left, he was more conventional, playing on his natural side. And yet, even then, something wasn't quite right about the setup. Not wrong exactly, but inefficient. Here was a player of extraordinary talent, and keeping him confined to the touchline felt like putting an F1 car in a school zone. His coaches could see it. Despite his physical limitations, and they were significant at the time, Messi was clearly a reference point of every attack. The player everyone looked to. The solution as he aged at Newell's Old Boys and into La Masia was the enganche role, that quintessentially Argentine position of the classical 10, operating between midfield and attack. It wasn't a radical shift for one so young. Messi had constantly flitted between the left and the center throughout his youth, but it was becoming increasingly obvious. Why limit him to one side of the pitch when you could place him at the very heart of the action? Rumors of a talented young boy they had poached from faraway shores had long been whispered, and the Blaugrana were bristling with anticipation. But Messi would have to begin his many adaptations instantly, as Frank Rijkaard, in the mold of Barcelona, utilized a 4-3-3. This meant that there was no number 10 position. His second favorite position in his younger years, out on the left, might have been a possibility, were it not for the fact that Barcelona had a much more established name in that position. The best player in world football, Ronaldinho. And Ronaldinho not only took up Messi's preferred position on the pitch, he was also more likely to be the man who would drift into the central positions in the final third to look to make all of the difference, whilst Messi was on the wing. Ronaldinho was the star of the team, and rightfully so, as his body of work meant that he had the trust of his side, and he would be the point of reference that his teammates would look to find. But let's not get carried away. Messi wasn't some outcast flung out on the right wing that the team would look to avoid. He was more than involved in the attacking play, and particularly as his debut season morphed into his second season, he began to showcase his talents more and more. But he was still quite raw, and Rijkaard for the most part wanted the young Argentine to get chalk on his boots, providing the width for the team. His biggest weapons at this age were, as always, his dribbling ability, and that was coupled with his raw pace. And while not perfect, a young Messi was already terrorizing fullbacks across Spain, with his chief mandate being to get past his marker and look to threaten the goal. But the rawness was still there, as at times Messi's head was down for too long, too focused on going towards the goal, which he did well, but his decision-making was one part of the game that still needed work, as at times he would not spot his teammates in a better position, or would go for the dribble when a more direct route was available. He only played 7 league matches in his debut campaign, but in his second, where his career truly began, he scored 6 and assisted twice in 17 games. In 06-07, his goal-scoring instincts were on full display, as he exploded to 14 goals and 2 assists in 26 games. But why did he only play 57% of the minutes available in his first 2 seasons? Messi was facing one huge obstacle: his growth hormone deficiencies while documented, meaning that at a certain point, Messi looked like he would be unable to reach a decent stature required to thrive at the top of the game. The solution was, of course, to give Messi medically approved growth hormone treatment, which saw him shoot up in height. The problem that comes with rapid growth is muscular imbalance as the body adjusts. That, paired with the big knocks he took in youth football, as well as early in professional football as his peers tested him, meant that his body was struggling at times.
He was taking on players with so much ease. They had to follow him so hard to stop him.
A hamstring strain and a pulled thigh meant that he missed 18 league games in 05-06. The following season, it was a metatarsal injury that kept him out of 11 league games. But these struggles led to refinement. As he progressed under Frank Rijkaard, subtle changes were beginning to emerge until it was clear we were seeing a different version of Messi. Those early days of hugging the touchline head down and purely looking to get past his fullback were replaced with more sophisticated movements. Messi always knew how to exploit his marker 1 versus 1, but now he was beginning to show that he could manipulate entire defensive structures. A combination of more trust from the manager, experience, growing confidence meant that Messi was taking his game to the next level. Now, when he received the ball, his first touch wasn't always to take the ball down the touchline, or to immediately look to take on his man. He began to take touches inside, opening up the pitch and giving himself more passing options. The right winger was beginning to evolve into something more, and if it looked like a slow, natural adaptation, the arrival of Dani Alves in 08 and the departure of starman Ronaldinho in that same year was like adding rocket fuel to this evolution. Now, there was increased responsibility on his shoulders to fill the creative burden left by Ronaldinho, but he had already proven that he was a special talent capable of filling it. With Dani Alves overlapping outside of him and Eto'o stretching defenses ahead of him and creating space in the midfield, Messi began to thrive in this inside right space, cutting in more and more often on his left foot to have more of the pitch opened up to him. He was now beginning to have more of an impact on play, getting more touches on the ball, slowly becoming a reference point in the side, and combining with his midfielders Iniesta and Xavi behind him. He now had his head up, and it was no longer just about goals, goals, goals. We were beginning to see shades of Messi the creator. The numbers showed this, as in 07-08 he hit double digits for assists, and it was one of only 2 seasons in his career where he had more assists than goals. In 08-09, Messi was beginning to blend his newfound creative spark and his goal-scoring pursuits of his earlier years, as he assisted 13 but scored 23, and for the first time he exceeded a goal contribution per game. But just as Messi's rise to the top looked unstoppable, came the most tumultuous time in his career, and it threatened to derail his explosive growth.